Welcome back to The Change Physician. I'm Melissa Katie, the Challenge Doctor, with my co-host, Dr. Kevin Cuccaro. We finally made it back to another Saturday Salutations, where we say hello to the world and to each other and let you know what's been going on in the podcast in the past and what's upcoming, or any other random tangents that Kevin and I like to go on. You never know.
Never know.
Random topics. How are you today?
I am not bad. How are you doing?
Not bad. I would say we have beautiful weather in Austin, Texas today, but the most consistent thing about Texas weather, or most predictable thing, is predictably unpredictable. So, I'm going to enjoy the days as they come when they're nice. So, how's Oregon?
Oregon is well. We've had the weather is a little bizarre. We've had some snow in different areas have been worse. Portland got hit last week really, really bad.
Yeah, California.
California. Well, yeah, I can talk about that in a little bit. Because I had to drive over those passes, and it was again an interest. And I've driven that pass lots and lots because I grew up in Carson, Tahoe area. Mm-hmm. But holy moly. So we were down there for Memorial, and I knew we were watching the weather the whole time. And then the day after the Memorial kind of hit the mountains, and I'm like, okay, we're not going to get over. So I actually flew my wife home and said she found a plane ticket and got her home because she had to work. She had to, she's in their urgent care, so it's kind of harder for her to miss things than me.
Yeah.
So she got out and had no problems because she flew into Eugene, which is a small regional airport, like just south of Corvallis. But luckily she didn't go to Portland because Portland was an absolute crap show. Mm. And then I'm just sitting there watching this, watching the passes. And then I saw this little teeny window on Thursday morning. And so just booked, like just got trying to get there as fast as I could. And, watching the chain requirements, I didn't want to put chains on. And we just got a Prius all-wheel drive when we have with 4 snow tires on it. And so the restrictions was literally chains or all-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive with snow tires. Mm. And man, that car was awesome. Like,
wow.
It did so well, and I only had one little tiny moment where I even felt the slightest bit of slipping, but otherwise the traction was great. The drive over was always a nightmare because blowing snow, and then the trucks, man, I don't know where these trucks, like these are the big freaking semis, and just doing stupid stuff. Like, I don't know. I think those guys are insane. Anyway, so I made it over the pass. And then I was worried about Southern Oregon, but luckily Southern Oregon wasn't too bad other than in Oregon. I started counting, like we have like 5 like summits we have to get over between our house and my mom's house on one particular route. And it just can suck. Like Southern. So I grew up in Carson. Carson's over 4,000 feet base elevation. Mm. So Southern Oregon, the pass over through Ashland, is a little over 4,000 feet. So I'm like, that's nothing. That's a dinky little pass. No, it's a big deal when you're comparing that to sea level. And when the snow comes, all these things that you would think are low elevation become just absolute nightmares trying to get through. And Oregon was probably, the I-80 was scary, but the section between Medford and Grants Pass was probably the scariest to drive because there were no chain controls. And I had no idea what the other cars, what their capabilities were. And that was, then you're just like, these people, I don't know if they're going to skid out in front of me or if they're going to smash into me. And they're, everybody's passing everybody. And it's like, I know you guys know, most of you don't know how to drive in snow because I've seen you drive in snow in Oregon, and most of you suck.
Yeah.
But, yeah, anyway, so it's always interesting when the snow comes, and this weather has been, my mom actually just texted me today, and they're getting even more snow. It is insane the amount of snow that they're getting up in the Sierras. It is freaking nuts.
So when you say, I'm not from a place where snow tires are part of my vocabulary. How do they look different than your other just regular
So
tires.
and there's different grades of snow tires. We have like the super traction ones that have, I think, I forgot what the little symbol was, like a mountain with this thing. They're deeper tread, and then the tire is actually softer.
Oh,
So, and that's why you don't want to drive snow tires apparently all the time, as they're softer and then they wear faster. So you only want to drive them in the wintertime. But it's pretty impressive. Like I was shocked at how well they did. They are not good, obviously, on ice, but man, on the snow, they grip really well. My wife had on her other car, used to have studs. So studs are the ones with a little metal like tacks in them, and you can hear them when they're driving. You probably don't have them in Texas, but you'll hear them when they're driving, because they're legal in Oregon from November 1st to April. I think November 1st, April 1st, and most places don't allow them because they tear up the roads. But those are really good for ice, because they will, they just kind of grip it. And you can kind of hear them. They kind of almost feel like, I don't want to say tap shoes, but you can hear the metal hitting the road when they're driving around. But I was like, well, I don't want to get studs for this new car, because if we're driving across state lines, they're illegal in California. So this is the first time we've had dedicated snow tires. And I was really, really impressed. I was like, we bonded. Me and that car bonded on that drive. We became so close, She's named everything. And I'm like, you and me, if my wife ever is done with you, you can come with me. How
many days did it take you?
It only took, but it was a little over 12 hours to drive. And it usually is about 9-ish hours. So it wasn't too bad. Granted, there were sections that I was driving really fast. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of long. Yeah.
So what did you learn about the California situation? Because I didn't tap into that.
Which one?
You said this California getting hit with the.
Oh yeah. So they started in December, and they've just had massive snow dumps. And then I like kind of cleared up really briefly, and then it started again Wednesday. What's today? So it was a week ago.
The 4th.
Yeah, so it started snowing on the 21st of February, and then it got pretty bad on the 22nd, or it was starting to get bad. And then it really hasn't stopped, because as I was looking at it, I was like, well, if I was supposed to go back to work on Thursday, and I knew that, and I'm like, well, okay, if I'm going to miss it, it's not a huge big deal. But I was looking at the weather, trying to figure out, well, where's the window that I'm going to be able to get over the pass?
I see.
So we have like 2 routes that we can go. One way is if we go north from Nevada, it's it can be snowy. It's a little bit more rural, but usually it's not as bad, because most of the snow gets caught on the west side of that. But then we still have to get over the Cascades, and that can be a nightmare if there's snow. And there was snow. So I'm like, I don't want to take that road, because also you're out in the middle of nowhere in some situations.
Right.
But you just watch, it was like snow. And then it was like, oh, this seems to be good. And then you get closer to the date, and it's like, no, that's bad. And this day's good. So I'm like, if I had not caught that window when I caught it, I don't know when I would have gotten home. Like,
wow.
That afternoon, the afternoon I got over. So I left in the morning and was over by 10-ish. I think I was over the pass for sure by 10, probably a little earlier than that. And by that afternoon, the pass was shut down. Like literally no one was crossing the pass, like nothing. Wow. So, yeah. And it was bad. Is bad. It's just bad. And it sucks to be on the road with people driving and you can't see. And, I had one guy, he had one of those Mercedes, camper vans that must've been 4-wheel drive, like kind of tricked out for back road camping. And I was so glad he was in front of me, because it was tall and it was big, and he had his hazards on. So there's times you're just like, okay, just follow the hazards, because the snow's blowing all over the place.
Wow.
Yeah. So those are adventures. I don't really like them anymore.
I'm glad you got through it.
Yeah.
You survived.
It wasn't, there was a couple times when I was younger, I went over and I remember, this is not a big deal. And I just put chains on, but it's just not, I don't know. I guess as I have gotten older, I just don't feel it's not fun. It's just really not that fun.
I like low maintenance temperatures where you can just like not have to have multiple layers and not as much stuff to pack. And yeah, it's just nice.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we tap into what's happened in the last week or two with the podcast? And let's see, it's been kind of a weird last few weeks for both of us, but let's see. Today is the 4th, and let me just hop back to episode 237 that released just before Valentine's on February 12th. Corey Fawcett, a returning retired surgeon who has written quite a few books, including Starting Your Practice Right, or as we said, Starting Your Career Right. Great book. And that's something that released. We also released a deep dive on that the following Sunday. So make sure to check out that one. We also did some Thursday throwbacks before today. And that was Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, surgeon who went to plant-based diet advocacy. That was really spectacular. Also, Dr. Michael Greger, who is vegan and promotes a similar kind of plant-based or whole food type lifestyle. And we had a funny thing is we have a little triple Thursday throwback with our more dietary focus, nutrition focus, and Dr. Colin Zhu, who's the quote unquote the chef doc. That was back from episode 60, and that released just this past Thursday. So if you ever missed those back in, I guess it's probably 2020, make sure to go back and check those out. Those are really great episodes, especially if you just kind of have a nutritional curiosity, dietary curiosity, especially when you're looking at physicians who have recognized the value and importance of it, which has not been heavily taught in our medical schools, at least up till about now. I think they're starting to trickle some into some schools, but still needs a lot of work. So any comments for any of those?
No, I just kind of find it interesting because those were way back in 2021, I think, because they were like December, January.
Let's see.
Of that kind of transition year. And I'm almost positive because if that was
I think we did it in January. So it was January 2021. I take that back. Yeah. So we had just shifted out of the 2020.
And I think around January 2021 is when I watched that A Life on Planet Earth, David Attenborough's kind of thing that was on Netflix, and that really drew attention to kind of the climate change and really one of the impacts of that was how our eating affects climate change. Mm-hmm. And one of the simplest things that you can do is just decrease your consumption of meat. Mm-hmm. So we cut back substantially. My wife's already a vegetarian, and that I cut back. And then this last month, I was like, well, let's try to go vegan for the month. And that was really interesting. Our neighbors went vegan. I don't know exactly when, but we had talked to them a little bit about it. And I'm like, oh, let's just try and see. So we are kind of vegetarian anyway. And there's a lot of options, like way more options than I think was a long time ago. With kind of like the vegan butter and the vegan kind of cheesy things to kind of make up for the dairy stuff. Yeah. We weren't 100% because we kind of a social omnivore. So if you're out, don't be super difficult. Like if you're at a restaurant, don't be a pain in the ass because those are never fun to be with.
Yep.
And I don't think I would sustain it either because I still like the dairy things, but anything you can do to cut back on the meat and actually the dairy too, is a good thing, and it's healthy. And I had some really, really good vegan food. Like I have a sandwich that we ate when we were up in Astoria that I'm still like salivating thinking about right now. And then there was I made a soup that was this coconut greens, sweet potato thing that I've made 3 times in the month because it was so good.
Wow.
I made a vegan shepherd's pie twice. That's fantastic.
Wow.
Anyway, so I the plant-based thing is like, and one of the simplest things is just to kind of transition to it. I get amazed. I can't eat vegetables. I'm like, you haven't tried vegetables. You haven't prepared vegetables. Yeah. You just you're not even trying because there's some really good stuff out there.
There's more variety to vegetables than meat, in my opinion. Like the numbers of different kinds of vegetables. I mean, on your hand, you can granted, there are some other animals that you could eat that most people don't eat. You could eat crickets, for crying out loud.
I've
but
wanted to try cricket flour, by the way. That's like
yeah.
something I want to try. I
So
think that sounds so interesting.
speaking of which, my new puppy, they gave me some food topper you can put on top of their food, and it's made with crickets for the protein. And then there's prebiotics in there and some oat, flaxseed. They have like several things in it just to kind of mix in some nutrients. So thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like chicken, meat, shrimp, fish, all kinds of fish. I mean, but as far as the categories, it's like pretty standard. And if you really want to explore and see variety, there are so many fruits and vegetables I've never heard of,
And I think it's like anything is once you start eating more that route, like you notice the other stuff more. Like, I don't eat a ton of meat, but I still eat meat. But I've noticed since I've cut back a lot, if I eat like something big, like say a huge burger, or actually I can't remember the last time I had a steak. Oh, I had a steak in the last 6 or 7 months. But after a steak, you can almost feel like, holy crap, that was just
heavy,
way too much. And I'm imagining it kind of similar to sugar. That's something I'd like to experiment more with too, is kind of cut back on the sugar. We don't eat a lot of processed food. But like soda, like I don't drink soda. And so then you drink a soda and you're like, oh my God, how this is so sweet. It's just like insane.
Yeah.
But
It's funny you said that because there was a Coke that was in just a little one. And I think I had like a third of it. Usually my vice is like diet soda or diet Monster. Like that. My caffeine source is not like the healthiest. When I'm ready, I might transition to something healthier and maybe get off caffeine completely. I'm just not in the right state of mind to do that. But I will say, like the sugars. What I was going to say about the Cokes, I only could do like a little bit each. Like for 3 days in a row, I had like a little bit of it. I could only handle so much. I just wanted the taste. So it makes you realize how addicting or addictive some of these things can be. But yeah, like you said, the meat, the processed foods, the sugars and alcohol, like you realize if you just, it's like you just get your little like fix just a little bit, and it reminds you, kind of how you're fine without it. And then you also feel the effects of it when you have like time between those, and you realize there's some association to, whether it's heavy. I definitely don't feel that heaviness with meat if I just have like a couple bites with my salad versus like a big portion like on a burger or something like that. Yeah. But I think part of it's also the bread with the meat and all that goes with it, or the fries.
Oh, I still like the fries. Yeah. But
I love sweet potato fries.
Oh yeah. But it's all this simple stuff. We have talked a little bit about health, and there's these people get wrapped up in all this, nonsense and supplements and magic this and magic powders and magic hormone replacements or whatever. And I would, before you do any of that stuff, just focus on the basics. I mean, nobody, the reason you're not going to hear about them is because they're basic and nobody's going to be able to make a lot of money off of it because they can't make some secret whatever. But man, just cut back on the meat, cut back on the processed foods, increase your vegetables. And there's many, many ways to do it, and move your body. Yeah. And it's like, if you start there and sleep, it's something that we all know and very few pursue. And I shouldn't say very few, but people they know it, but they neglect it. And I think it's because people don't understand just the impact it has over time. Like you may not feel it today, you may not feel it tomorrow, but I guarantee in 60 days, you're going to feel something. And certainly, 300 days, you're going to definitely feel something if you're consistent with it. Yeah. I was thinking, I haven't talked about my kettlebells in a long time, right?
Yeah, so, go ahead. You got to get it off your chest.
I do. Well, because when it was about it was close to when we started the podcast, I was doing kettlebells, wasn't it? Or
you've gone through phases of it, I think.
Well, when I first started, I was talking about it all the time, right? And I think it was because I had this mission, because I started it when I was 48, and I picked up this book, and it's called Simple and Sinister, and the sinister variant is being able to do these exercises, which are kettlebell swings and Turkish get-ups with a 48 kilogram bell, which is 105 pounds. And for whatever reason, I picked it up. I'm like, I want to be able to do that on my 50th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm turning 50 at the end of this month, and needless to say, I will not be doing the 48 kilogram bell on my birthday. I am hoping that I will be almost transitioned. I mean, I'm in the process right now of working through the 40 kilogram. So that's 88 pound bell. And if I'm doing 60% of the sets with that, I'll be happy on my birthday. So I got about 3 weeks and I should probably be there. And then I kind of pushed it out. I'm like, okay, well, maybe by 55, if I'm doing the 48, well, then I'll be happy with that. But what I've been noticing, this is literally 2 years of the same program.
Mm-hmm.
I do it relatively consistent, meaning when I started with the lighter weights up until about the 32 kilogram bell, I was doing them anywhere from 4 to 5 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I found out, I was stalling when I was trying to transition to the heavier bells. And so, in the books, like, you have to kind of back off. Now you need to go to about 3, maybe 4. So I'm doing about 3 days I'm trying to average 3 days a week. So there's plenty of rest time.
Mm-hmm.
And it is freaking insane. Like, the strength difference is nuts. So
Awesome.
And you just can't, but it's one of those things. It's like, this is not a quick thing. But if you told me 2 years ago how I would feel, like, first of all, I wouldn't believe it. But it's just doing the day-to-day grind, like doing the same thing over and over again. It's they're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results is supposedly the definition of sanity. Well, doing the same thing over and over and over again, and then just monitoring results, I think is kind of a modicum of success, because again, it's just, I've never felt as strong. I haven't felt as strong as I am right now since high school.
That's awesome.
And it is. It's so, but it's the same thing like the diet. You just got to just do it, and you got to be consistent with it. And there's nothing sexy about it, but it produces the results.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Oh, that's awesome. And the thing is, it's not the perfection of having to reach the goal. It's creating the goal to move forward, to keep doing those things. And you still made progress, and you're recognizing the progress. And I always say to people, it's like, you may not have gotten the perfection or achieved the full goal, but, with the changes you're maintaining at the very least, depending on how much you're pushing. So you're not losing the muscle. And so it's like, no point in getting upset with yourself or frustrated or anything like that. It's like, it's the lack of loss that is the benefit, not just what you necessarily gain, or get fully to that goal. I think that's the thing that people forget as we get older. You're going to lose muscle if you don't keep using it and push it.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah,
and that's a big deal as you're getting older, is losing it. And then all these really false beliefs about aging, that you can't put on muscle, or you can't do this, or you can't do heavy weight, and you can't. I mean, it's almost all that is, it's nonsense. It's like, if you've never run a marathon, don't think you're going to run out the next day and run a marathon. Right. But if you're 70 years old and you want to run a marathon, I'm not going to tell you can't. I'm just going to say you're going to have to start slow. You're going to listen to your body, and you got to be consistent with your running. Yeah, that's literally it.
Yeah. Respect the process, as one of the basketball players says.
Oh yeah. That's a great quote. Because it's
Joel Embiid.
Who?
Joel Embiid, one of the basketball players.
Oh, well.
EMBIID.
All right. Well, I love it. You gotta respect.
You gotta respect the process.
Gotta respect the process, and don't fall into this stuff that just because you're a certain age you can't do things.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. And plus, you reminded me of one of our episodes on the Blue Zones.
Oh yeah.
To go back on and listen to that, but I guess. We've got upcoming episodes. Just stay tuned for releases of that. I was going to mention my news recently is I got a little puppy, so that's very.
Do you have a picture? Because that's a very cute puppy, by the way. It's so small.
Oh well, I'll just have to pull it up.
Pull it out. Yeah.
Let's see. What's the best picture here? He's just precious. I'll go. This is the first day we got him. I'm going to airdrop this to my computer. Let's see. Here we go. I'll leave
And
you
what kind
guys.
of dog? I forgot. You said it was
It's
a Chiweenie or something?
Chiweenie. Well, that's what they say. Ironically, and for those of you listening, there is let me do a little sharing. Okay, actually, we're going to do a live one. We're on live, but we are going to just show you this cutie.
Oh, there he is.
He
Hello,
is
guy.
adorable. Let me just close this. I can't see myself.
Hello.
Hello. He's got a little cough that he does occasionally. And here he is.
Like,
He was
I'm not
born on
interested in this.
December 15th. I think he was just a little sleepy, right? Yeah. So he's been sleepy, but our cat has not fully accepted him. He's gotten a few scares.
What about the rabbit? Don't you have a rabbit too?
Those passed away.
Oh, okay.
So now we just have Rico. And he is the most precious little face ever. We sent off some his saliva or skin cells, I should say, to a company called I'm trying to think of the name of it. But anyway, I send it off. It takes 2 to 3 weeks. It'll tell you the percentage of all the dogs he is from. So so we'll find out. But apparently Chihuahua Dachshund is the mix. He's got more of a Chihuahua head, little tiny. He doesn't have that long snout like a Dachshund, but little boy.
Oh, he's so small.
Cute his little southpaw white left paw there. Anyway, he's super loving, and I fell in love, and my husband agreed to let me have my puppy. I haven't had a dog since 2006. So anyway, this is my new life, new member of the family.
Yes.
And what did you say? And I loved my husband. What? 16.
That's how old I was when I had a dog.
Oh, I have my husband background monitoring because I can't keep track of this on a live video, but yeah, we both have not had a dog in a long time. So it's been a lesson for sure. I'm gonna pass him off, but anyway, so it was nice to share with the world Rico. And just so you know what Rico comes from, I know you're gonna ask.
Suave. No, it's Rico Suave,
No,
right?
Don't say that.
It is. I know that's what Rico Suave.
Well, Rico is like short in Spanish for Richard, I guess, but Rico means rich, but he's enriched my life. And
Suave, it means he's suave.
Smooth.
Yeah, and smooth.
Yeah. Well, Corey, my husband, actually, this is what really happened. We were going to name him Brisby, short for Brisbane, Australia. And then my husband got in a mailed thing from a friend with Rico Extra cigars. He said, "This is my favorite cigar." And I was like, Rico. And then we started trying to call him Rico, and it kind of stuck. But he also loves Miami Vice with Croc and Tub? What is it? Something in Tubs. But anyway, Rico is one of the actors. So
I was gonna say the dog likes.
No.
He's like watching it.
This is Corey. My husband loves Miami Vice. So anyway, that was one of his favorite movies. So Rico was one of his favorite actors in there. So between Rico the cigar, Rico Miami Vice, and I'm half Mexican, so Rico means rich, and then he enriched my life, and we love the trip we had to Puerto Rico. So it was like there was 5 reasons to name him Rico, and he looked like a Rico. So there you go.
And every time I see him, I'm going to think about Rico Suave now. And I'll hear the song playing in my mind as he's walking. I can just see him do a little suave walk.
I know. Well, unfortunately, Corey will probably slap that down and say, "No, it's not Rico Suave." But anyway, he's a lot of fun. He's a lot of work, but he's still coming over. He had parvovirus, so we're still working on helping him resolve that situation. But any last thoughts, Kevin, or things to add? I was talking about myself this whole time.
No, I was talking about myself way more than you've been talking about yourself.
Well, for any of you listening out there, do you want to take us out, or you want me to take us out?
No, I can take us out. I'll just say,
do it.
Hey, folks, this is the Change Physician with our Saturday Salutations. As always, you can hear more of us at thechangephysician.com, where you can join and sign up for the community, whether you're a physician or a physician ally. And until next time, stay well.
Take care.